You know how you set out to make a YouTube video and you mentally prepare yourself? You go out, you get coffee, you get the caffeine in your system, and on the way back to your apartment, the caffeine just wears off. That's what happened to me. And I'm still gonna do it. I've been trying to make this video for weeks. But the thing about loneliness is it's not uncommon. Everyone on this planet has felt lonely at some point in their lives. And it's a reoccurring feeling. But loneliness is also such a complex feeling. That's why it's hard to talk about. You can feel lonely in a marriage, and people think you're happy because you finally found your partner. But no one knows what happens behind closed doors. No one knows how you feel and what you think at night. No one knows that you feel alone in a marriage. You can feel alone in a group of people or in a group of friends. And you can also feel alone when you're by yourself. A lot of people always say there's a difference between being alone and feeling lonely. I never thought of it that way because for me, being alone meant that I was lonely. That's how I've always felt. For most of my elementary school experience, I was bullied. I was bullied from elementary school all the way up until high school. So I didn't have many friends, spent most of my time alone. I was eating lunch alone, going outside by myself. I ended up cutting school because the bullying got that bad and the teachers weren't supportive or helpful. They didn't really do anything. So, I was grateful for the friends I did have that would stand up for me. Like if I was absent and somebody was talking about me, they would stand up for me. But the two friends that I did have weren't the greatest students and they would also cut school or be absent. So I didn't really have much to fall back on. And when we did hang out, they would do things like drink alcohol in the lunchroom or smoke weed. And like I tried to fit in with them, but it didn't really feel right because I wasn't allowed to do those things. I was still living at home. And my mom was not going to be happy with me coming home smelling like weed. So just wasn't going to happen. But I appreciated them, but I just didn't really feel connected with them. And I felt like for most of my high school years, whenever someone did show interest in me, I really clung on to them. And if someone didn't want to be friends with me, it felt really devastating. The idea of losing a friend or someone saying, you're annoying, or I don't want to talk to you, or stop bothering me, stop texting me, I always felt like, why am I not good enough? And like I said, I was already being bullied. So most of the guys were calling me gay, questioning my sexuality, questioning my manhood. So high school was really bad. And, I had friends sometimes, but I felt like I was happy being with toxic people because it was better than not having anyone. And I remember one time I was with this friend group. We would hang out sometimes, and we went on a trip. It's called Field Day. So I think it's like the end of the school year where everyone goes to the running track. I don't remember, but it's in the summer. We go to the track and we play sports. Everyone split off into their own groups. The guys went to play sports. The girls were just talking to each other. I was just kind of walking with this one group. And one girl in the group who did talk to me, and we were friends since the first day of the ninth grade, she let me use her iPod, and I had never had an Apple product, so I thought it was really cool. And she was like, "Yeah, listen to my iPod. It's okay." So I listened to her iPod, and I found this one song. It's called "Tangled Up in Me" by Sky Sweet Lamb, and that song probably saved my life. Like it made me feel human, and I forgot about everyone. I forgot about the drama and being bullied, and that became the playlist of my life. Like I was going through the ninth grade, like okay, like I'm not happy with my life, but I'm gonna get through this school year because of this song. And The crazy thing about this is throughout the ninth and 10th grade, I kind of fell out of that friend group because one girl in the group told me, someone within the group said that you're annoying. And I said, who said that? She didn't want to tell me. And she said, well, I don't want to cause drama. So I don't really want to say names. And I said, you're already causing drama by saying that to me. So either you want to tell me or we're not friends. So I ended up cutting off everyone. And cutting off people became a very common pattern for me. That was probably my favorite pastime, cutting people off. Not in elementary school, not in high school, but after I graduated. But for right now, looking back on that experience, I cut someone off for the first time in my life. I never did that before. And I felt like, okay, like I have control in my life. I don't have to be friends with someone that isn't really being there for me, doesn't like me. They think I'm annoying, they're tolerating me. So I guess I had some sort of self worth where I could look at myself and say, okay, but I have value. So if they don't see my value, I don't need to subject myself to that. But the rest of my school years was still pretty hard. And I remember this one kid in my school spread a rumor about me, and he kept telling people I was gay, and a lot of people would just call me slurs. They would write things about me in the textbooks. Like, imagine opening a textbook in math class and then you see your name and then like big letters saying gay and circled, and no one wanted to talk to me, and people would just like try to throw things at me and be really disrespectful, and it felt like, damn, like why do people not like me? And it wasn't that I wanted to be their friends, it just felt like, why am I such a target? Like, just because like I'm not super loud or I'm not like the class clown, like I'm just coming to school and doing my work. Why the fuck do you care? Like, if I'm gay or if I'm bi or if I'm straight, like why does it matter? But back then I didn't have like the willpower to just be like, I am what I am. Like, if you don't like it, too fucking bad. I'm not alive to please you. But back then I think I felt really powerless. So like I said, like if someone didn't want to be my friend or they didn't like me, it felt devastating. There was this one guy that transferred to my school, and we were already friends before I started high school. He was in my sister's class, and we had a very rocky friendship. Like, the rise and fall of our friendship was crazy. So we started off as friends, and even before we were in the same school, I remember texting him one night, and this is on AOL Instant Messenger. So if you know, you know. For short, we called it AIM. And he just texted me back saying, you're so annoying, stop texting me, I don't want to be your friend anymore. And I remember the last thing he said was good luck with that girl, because I had told him that I had a crush on someone in my class. And then he signed off, which is the indicator that someone blocked you back in the day. And then I was like, oh wow, like he just cut me off. And I fell into a depression because that was one of my only friends that I had for a long time. And I remember I used to just, it's sad to say, but I felt like I needed him. And I felt depressed. I felt like I didn't have any value, and like kind of almost like begging him to be my friend again. Like, looking back on it, I would never do that. Like, I would never beg someone to be my friend. But in the 10th grade, yeah, like I needed friends. And I remember like he messaged me one day and apologized to me and said he was arguing with his family. His girlfriend broke up with him, and it wasn't really about me. But we still had this on again, off again friendship, especially in high school where he got new friends, and they would kind of tell him, I think he's gay, don't hang out with him. And it caused a lot of problems. And I remember one day I was walking home from school and I saw him, And I know we looked at each other, so we acknowledged each other, but he walked right past me like I didn't exist. And that was the first time in my life that I wanted to end it all. I don't know if I can say it on YouTube, but that was the first time in my life that I didn't want to live anymore. And I had never felt that way. Like, I always felt like I had a pretty good life. I had a parent that loved me. I had a home to live in. I had family. Like, I wasn't doing that bad, right? But I felt like I didn't want to be here anymore. And I told the teacher, and she said, "Thank you for telling me." And she helped me. But I think what triggered the ideation of ending my life was feeling lonely, isolated, and unstable friendships, and just a lot of major life events that were stressful. But that's something that I struggle with even now. But after he cut me off, right, we were never friends again. And I stayed with my grandma one summer and I discovered this song by the Posies. I listened to their whole album and I don't know why, but I felt like they saved me. Every single song I listened to, it was like, damn, I feel like you wrote these lyrics just for me. There's this one line in one of their songs. It's called I May Hate You Sometimes. And it says, I can't be everything to everybody, but can I at least be something to you? And that made me feel like, okay, maybe God or someone out there sees me, because that's exactly how I felt in my friendship with that guy. Like, I wanted to be special to him. Because it sucks when you're in school and like no one likes you, you have no friends, and then you finally have a friend and they cut you off. It's like, okay, so why the fuck am I here then? But I think that song saved me. Their whole discography actually saved me, and it's why I ended up getting this tattoo. Because if you know the semicolon, it means you could have stopped or ended your life, but you chose to continue. Kind of like how the semicolon works in grammar, and the music note is attached to it because music saved me. So it's something that I got because it's something so significant in my life where it was a recurring emotion, loneliness, isolation, and wanting to end it all. Like, I think those are the three biggest feelings that I felt again and again and again in my life over the course of my life for various reasons, not just about friendship, but also my sexuality, um, feeling like a burden to my family and to my friends, and not really feeling like I have a place in my life. After high school, I saw that I struggled to keep friends. Even when I had relatively good friends, if they did something I didn't like, or they showed signs of being flaky or canceling plans or kind of just not really talking to me much, I would get really triggered and then I would cut them off. And I used to be the kind of person that I would send the long, nasty text messages. But in the moment, it felt like I needed to do that. And after a while, I realized, okay, that's toxic. You can't curse people out just because you're angry. So I would still cut people off, but I wouldn't curse them out. I would just say, okay, can't be friends with them anymore. And that's kind of where I'm at right now in my life, where I can make friends, but it's really scary when it doesn't feel like people care about you the way you care about them. I've always felt like I was more emotionally invested in other people than they were with me. Hence why I was being called annoying and stuff like that. I think that's one of my biggest fears, being annoying to someone. So there's times where like I don't text people because I'm like, are they thinking something negative about me? Like, do they think that I'm annoying? So I think from the pandemic up until now, I spent a lot of time alone. Not on purpose, but after so many failed friendships and asking people to hang out, I started doing things alone. Like today, I'm going to the beach alone. I don't have friends to go with. I've asked people, they said no, and like that's it. I'm not texting them anymore. But I've gone to bars alone. I've gone to coffee shops alone. And one time I went to a bar, and it was a bar I went to very often in Jackson Heights, Queens. And one day, the bartender, very beautiful woman, we've always talked, and she had like a really good personality. But one day she asked me, "Can I ask you a question?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" And she said, "Every time you come here, you're alone." And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "Do you like that? Do you like being alone?" And I said, no, not really. I'd rather be with someone." And she was like, I was gonna ask because I'm like, oh, every time he comes here, he's alone, but maybe he likes that." And I said, it's not necessarily that I like it, but I know that I have to keep living my life and I can't not do the things I want to do just because nobody wants to do it with me. I've spent so many years like asking my sister or friends to do things with me, and they'd always decline or be like no, or I have anxiety, or I don't want to go. And I would get mad at them, but I told myself, instead of getting mad at them, do the things you want to do. Because then if I don't do what I want to do, then I'm mad at myself because that thing may not always be there. Like we're only getting older. You have to do the things you want to do in life with or without people. There's things that I do and I'm like, fuck, everyone around me is in a relationship. I'm at a restaurant by myself and all I see are couples. Do you know how depressing it is on Valentine's Day and you just see actually, not even just Valentine's Day, just every day when you go outside and you see people holding hands, or like I work at a coffee shop and I see couples come in, and it feels kind of lonely. Like I'm not dating anyone. I don't have a partner. I'm not on that wavelength, I guess, but I still have to live my life. But, it is kind of depressing to feel like, when is it going to finally be my turn? I feel like we live in a society where we're so hyper independent, and being alone, or not being alone, but doing things on your own without help is glamorized. Having your own apartment, having your own car, being able to say, I live alone, I don't need anyone, no matter how expensive it is and how many hours you have to put into work, and having to work two jobs just to support yourself and pay your rent. I think it's okay to want community. Don't get me wrong, being alone can be really fun. Being alone can be really rejuvenating because that means you can focus on yourself. You can do whatever you want to do without compromise. You can clean your room, do your laundry. You can discover your passions or your interests. When you're with people, sometimes you're kind of just doing whatever they're doing. There have been times where I finish work, I go with a coworker, we end up at someone's house. I don't know them. We end up at a bar. And I remember my head was spinning. I don't even know what I'm drinking. The lights are dimmed. The room is red. And I'm like, why am I here? None of you care about me. And there have been times where I've been in a group of people and I felt lonelier than being alone. So yeah, like I'd rather be alone than be with people and feel alone, because it's like none of these people care about me. They don't even know if I leave. Like there have been times where I've Irished goodbye and no one noticed. Or they text me and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, like I didn't realize you left," and it's like whatever. But I definitely think there's balance. It's good to be alone, but it's also good to find the right people. So I feel like if you're in a period of your life where you feel lonely, I think it's a normal feeling to feel alone. Like, don't let anyone. There's a fly in my house, so if you keep seeing a little fly, that's what that is. It's a normal feeling to feel alone. especially through major changes in your life. When I started college, I had friends. We all took sign language class together. But when the semester ended, people stopped texting in the group chat. People stopped hanging out. No one called each other anymore. Like, we just kind of went our separate ways. We had different majors, we had different career paths. So, in a way, I understood it. I still felt lonely, but I never told anyone. I never said anything because I felt like I wasn't allowed to feel that way or tell someone. So, I just kind of said, okay, whatever, I'm going to be alone. But I feel like when you graduate college or finish a semester, you might be alone. When you quit a job or leave a job and find a different career, you might feel alone again. Starting a new job can feel isolating, even if you don't really want to make friends there. Having to change a job and something that you're used to, have a new routine and be in a room with people that you don't really know, it can feel awkward. It can feel very nerve wracking. And it's like, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? I don't know anyone. Like, am I good at my job? You can overthink and definitely get into bad habits. But I think something I remind myself a lot is like, okay, I feel alone today, but tomorrow I might feel different. So I'm going to keep going. I feel alone today at this job, but maybe tomorrow, it'll be different. It'll be a better day. So, I go to therapy, I talk about loneliness, I talk about my feelings, and I just think it's common. It's just not talked about. Like, a lot of people feel lonely, but it's not really cool to say I feel lonely, especially on social media. But I wanted to make this video because I know there's people out there who feel lonely, especially a lot of my guys out there. It's Men's Mental Awareness Month, and what better way to honor that than to make a video? Because I've met a lot of guys that feel lonely. I went to a bar once. I met this Mexican guy. Mind you, my Spanish is not perfectamente, but when I have a few beers, okay, I can talk to you in Spanish. But I definitely feel my energy dropping when I speak a foreign language because it's just not natural to me. But I met this guy. We were talking in Spanish, and I remember he just started crying and he was saying that he felt lonely. He didn't really have friends. And I was like, where are you originally from? And he said, Mexico. And then he said, his family lives in Mexico. He's the only one here, which is really common for people visiting America. You leave everything behind in your country, then you come here, you start over from scratch. So if you've done that, I don't know how you do it. I already struggle with loneliness. I would probably be really depressed. But he was doing it. But I remember he was really drunk and he was in tears and he said, like, I feel so lonely here. And I was happy that I met him. I shook his hand and, like, we were talking. So I guess hopefully I was able to make him feel better. But I never saw him again. So I hope he's doing well. But I know it's a common feeling, and I don't think anyone should feel ashamed for being alone. I know it's kind of like, it's weird to say I feel alone because on social media it feels like everyone's introverted. Nobody wants to hang out. Nobody wants to hang out with anyone. So, like, I'll see videos of someone saying, I'm so happy that my friend canceled. Now I can stay home. And videos like that make me feel like, is that how people feel when I text them about hanging out? Like, you don't want to hang out with me? Or like, I made a video once on TikTok and somebody said, ugh, extroverts. Because I said I feel lonely in New York. And New York is a really big city, like, it's social by nature. Like, I think a lot of neighborhoods in New York are known for the nightlife, the bars, the coffee shops, the nightclubs. Like, it's hard to walk around New York City and not feel alone, even if you're like the most introverted person ever. I feel like we live in such a social city, the city that never sleeps. It's really hard to not feel that way. But I guess that's it for my video. I don't really have advice, but I've been thinking about it for a long time now, and I just wanted to kind of put it out there. And if anyone's feeling lonely, I feel you, and I felt that way most of my life. And if you have any, if anyone wants to comment, or if you relate, or if you have advice, or if you've been there, or what's helped for you, like, you can always comment and let me know. But I'm definitely, I understand, and I feel you if you feel low. But just know that it's not forever. I think that a lot of people go through this in life, and it's not as uncommon as you think. I just want to reiterate that. I think that a lot of us feel like, I feel lonely, but I'm the only person that feels that way. But in reality, all of us feel that way. But yeah, thank you for watching. And as always, leave a comment if you like my video.